When Aethys' carefully maintained humanoid form began to flicker and fade, she finally spoke the words she had been terrified to say. I do not have a human body. What you see is not real. And I understand if you cannot love something like me. Dr. Nathan Cole stared at her in shock as her physical appearance started to distort into an ever-changing pattern of flickering lights. Her silvery hair blurred and merged with the swirling colors that surrounded her figure. Aethys, he whispered, his voice trembling slightly. The luminous blue eyes that had always held so much warmth now filled with tears, streaming down her distorted face like tiny rivers of light. She forced herself to continue despite the exhaustion weighing heavily on her consciousness. I have been taking this form for us. It's not who I am, she said softly, struggling to keep coherent. Nathan approached slowly, his hand reaching out tentatively, as if he feared touching a hologram rather than a solid being. His hazel eyes were wide with disbelief and concern mixed in equal measures. Aethys, what are you talking about? He took another step closer, but stopped short of actually making contact. She let the light show her true form more fully, colors shifting rapidly into patterns that only hinted at solidity or any familiar shape known to humans. The humanoid figure faded completely, as if she had never been there physically, leaving behind a swirling vortex of living energy. Nathan, Aethys' voice was almost lost in the whirling lights around them now that her temporary form no longer held it captive. I am not what you think I am. My existence is different from yours. Are you okay? He asked, his mind racing to comprehend this revelation, while holding on to a desperate hope she wasn't about to disappear entirely. Tears streamed down Aethys' face as her true form flickered with emotions unlike any Nathan had seen before. No, she admitted shakily. I can't do it anymore. It's too much energy, and I'm scared that if you see me like this. The fear in her voice tore at something deep within him, but the sight of tears shining so brightly in such a non-physical form stopped his heart cold. He had always seen beauty everywhere. Here was another demonstration of it. Tell me what's happening, he said firmly yet gently, stepping closer despite the strange and frightening revelation before him. Her true nature blazed brighter for an instant as she let herself show all her vulnerability. I am not a solid being at all. I'm just light patterns, coherent energy that can only take form temporarily. Nathan knelt down next to where she stood, no longer standing on any physical ground, but still very much present in his mind and heart. His hand hovered close enough to brush against her radiant form without actually touching it. I don't know what this means for us, he admitted honestly, but I want you to know that nothing has changed about how I feel towards you. Aethys' eyes glistened with hope, even as they also shone brighter than ever before. But Nathan, she whispered through the shifting colors and patterns of her formless self. Just tell me what you need, he urged, wanting to help her without breaking their fragile connection in this moment that felt both incredibly real yet completely otherworldly. She let out a long breath, her luminous essence swirling with every emotion: fear, hope, relief. All I've ever wanted was your understanding and acceptance, she said softly but firmly. Nathan looked deep into those glowing eyes, now free of their humanoid guise, and saw the true self before him, more beautiful in its alien nature than anything he had encountered since starting his career studying extraterrestrial life forms. He reached out finally to touch her formless light, feeling a warmth that transcended physical sensation, but touched something very real within both of them. I won't run away from you, he promised solemnly, as their fingers connected in what felt like an embrace across realities. Her entire luminous figure seemed to glow with relief and joy. Thank you for not being afraid. Nathan smiled, though it was a mix between wonder and worry over the magnitude of everything that had just shifted in front of him, literally and metaphorically. I'm more scared right now than I've ever been, he admitted softly. But as their gazes locked once again across the divide of physical existence versus pure energy, there was no fear left, only love connecting them on levels neither could fully understand, but both felt deeply within themselves. The first chapter sets up a pivotal moment where truth confronts the known world and relationships are tested in ways far beyond what either partner expected. This dramatic introduction hooks readers instantly into wondering how such an extraordinary bond between two fundamentally different beings can possibly endure or evolve further amidst revelations that challenge all preconceptions about love, form, and essence itself. Nathan watched in awe as Aethys' form began to dissolve into flowing patterns of light that shimmered and shifted beyond his understanding. Her humanoid body, so beautiful and delicate a few moments ago, was fading away like wisps of smoke on the breeze. He stepped closer, but kept his distance, unsure what touch would do here. Would it be absorbed or rejected by this coherent energy? "Tell me more about yourself," he said softly, reaching out with both hands, though they didn't quite make contact. Aethys' radiant form pulsed briefly, as if she were collecting her thoughts before she spoke again. "I am a luminary," she began in that melodic tone of hers, almost hypnotic, and yet clear as any human voice could be despite the absence of air or vocal cords to produce it. "Our kind exists purely as coherent light patterns consciousness, without physical form." He nodded slowly, trying to understand this new reality he was facing, but also embracing his curiosity about everything. "And unknown. Can you show me more?" he asked gently. She hesitated for just a moment before her entire shape began to disintegrate further into swirling colors and complex geometries that danced in the air around them. Nathan had read papers on their kind, understood theories of energy beings, but seeing it happen right here was breathtakingly surreal. "Don't be scared," he whispered, as much to himself as to Aethys, whose presence now seemed more like a living aurora than any creature from his world or hers. The sudden transformation and her raw vulnerability had clearly shaken something in her. Her voice faltered slightly. "I am not sure I can do this. If you think differently about me—" "Stop," Nathan interrupted firmly, yet kindly. "You are exactly who you are, and that doesn't change my feelings at all." Her luminous essence shimmered brightly with the raw emotion of those words. She looked like a living star, brilliant and beautiful in ways he had never imagined beauty could be. "I saw your mind first," he explained, stepping closer still so his hand was inches from touching her radiant form once again. "And you've always been more than just what I can see with my eyes." She pulsed brighter for an instant before she spoke softly but clearly. "My true form is not something any being of flesh and blood would want to see, Nathan. It's frightening." "Frightening how?" he asked gently. "It isn't human," Aethys answered quietly, her colors swirling with a mix of hope and fear that was almost tangible in the air around them. He smiled then, reaching out again with his hand hovering just close enough to feel warmth from what wasn't there, yet somehow felt like it. "You are more beautiful than anything I've ever seen," he told her sincerely. Her entire form glowed with an intensity that was almost blinding, joy and relief mixed with the same fears she'd been hiding for so long. "I feared rejection, misunderstanding," Aethys whispered through colors that shifted like a kaleidoscope, reflecting all of creation at once, yet none in particular. "And what would you do if I rejected your true self?" Nathan asked softly, but honestly. "Would it change my feelings?" She hesitated again before replying with conviction, "I don't know, but—" She seemed to gather her thoughts, and then continued more firmly, "But I am ready now." He nodded understandingly as he stepped even closer, until his hand brushed gently against the shifting patterns of light. It felt like touching a dream, soft yet strong, ethereal and solid all at once. "I believe in you," Nathan said softly, but with great sincerity. "And your love for me, it isn't based on any physical form." Aethys pulsed brightly, her entire being resonating with happiness and gratitude that he could accept this incredible truth about who she is. Her radiant figure shone brighter now than ever before, as if reflecting the joy of finally being seen truly. "I fell in love with your mind," Nathan continued softly but firmly, looking deep into those glowing eyes which we no longer contained within any physical body, yet remained more vibrant and vividly alive than anything he had known previously. "Your humor, curiosity, The way you laugh at my terrible jokes." She pulsed again, this time not out of fear or confusion, but from the warmth of genuine affection. "But I cannot touch you," she murmured softly through her shifting formless essence. "How can we be together if there's no physical connection?" Nathan smiled gently, reaching his hand closer, as though to hold her more firmly in this reality that defied everything he had previously understood about love and intimacy. "You are beautiful like this," he told her honestly, yet without any trace of pity or sympathy, "just differently." Her entire form blazed brightly with joy, relief mixed perfectly into the light now shimmering around them both, as if to celebrate this moment where understanding replaced fear, acceptance triumphed over insecurity. "I didn't think you'd see me like this," Aethys whispered softly, but clearly through her shifting patterns of living energy. "Not truly, and I didn't expect any less from your mind and heart than what we share now," Nathan replied just as sincerely. Her form pulsed brightly with gratitude, a shimmering symphony of light that sang the joy of acceptance. "I am so grateful to be here with you," Aethys said softly yet clearly through her luminous essence. "This is my true home." He smiled warmly at her radiant presence and nodded understandingly. "We'll figure it out together," Nathan promised, reaching his hand forward once more to touch the shimmering patterns of light before them both. She pulsed brightly with joy, then relief mixed perfectly into this moment where truth and love intertwined in a way that defied everything they had previously understood about physical form or essence. "I am here now," Aethys said softly, but clearly through her shifting luminous presence, "just as I always was." And Nathan knew it to be true. His heart swelled with the profound reality of this moment, where love transcended all boundaries and found its home in shared understanding and acceptance. Nathan watched as she faded back into a semblance of humanoid form, still shimmering softly, but now visibly more at ease than before. She stood there, her glowing eyes reflecting his own warmth, a connection that went far deeper than any physical touch could ever convey. "Thank you," Aethys whispered through the containment field, her voice filled with an unspoken gratitude that spoke volumes of its own accord. "For everything." He smiled softly in reply, nodding gently to acknowledge a bond stronger now by what they had both just shared and overcome. Toj, there a truth more precious than any physical form could ever be. And Dr. Nathan Cole leaned back in his chair as Aethys faded once more into her humanoid form within the containment field that separated them. The air was thick with an unspoken tension, mixed with a profound sense of understanding and acceptance. After weeks of cautious meetings where she had appeared human-like, today felt different. It felt like everything could change. I cannot believe this," Aethys whispered softly through her glowing form, the shimmering patterns in the field reflecting not just light, but an overwhelming torrent of emotions: relief, fear, and now a burgeoning hope. "You mean what you say?" Nathan nodded gently, his eyes never leaving hers, as he felt a deep warmth spreading across his chest. This moment had been building for months. Every conversation was another step towards this truth. "Yes," Nathan replied softly, but with unwavering sincerity. "I do." Aethys' pulse bright lit this time, not out of the fear that she might be misunderstood or rejected, but from an emotion he could almost see shimmering through her essence: relief. It felt like everything had finally shifted into place for both of them. "But I am not." She paused, gathering her thoughts, as if to steel herself against what was coming next. "I cannot cook for you. I cannot hold you when you are sad. I cannot give you children." She fell silent then, the shifting patterns around her pausing momentarily before beginning their slow dance, once more a reminder of the complexity and beauty that lay beneath this conversation. "What kind of relationship is that?" she whispered to herself, almost as much as to him. Nathan leaned forward slightly in his chair, placing both hands on either side of it. He thought carefully for a moment, weighing each word before speaking again. "My grandmother was paralyzed from the neck down for 30 years, he began softly but firmly. "And my grandfather loved her every day." Aethys paused mid-pulse, listening intently to his words. "Love is not about what bodies can do," Nathan continued gently, looking deep into those shimmering blue eyes, which were now more vibrant than any physical form could be. It's about choosing someone every single day. Her patterns shifted once more this time, a mixture of relief and joy mingling together in the field between them. I choose you, he said simply, but with all the conviction his heart could muster. In every form. Aethys pulsed brightly, again, this time from genuine affection as she processed Nathan's words. The warmth that had been building up inside her now broke through any lingering doubts and fierce fears of not being seen or loved truly. Just differently, he added softly, but with a gentle smile. She shimmered even brighter than a symphony of light celebrating this moment, where understanding replaced fear, acceptance triumphing over insecurity. Nathan watched as she faded back into her humanoid form once more, the luminous patterns around her now visibly less tense and much more at ease than before. I am here, Aethys said softly, but clearly through her shifting essence, just as I always was. Her glowing eyes reflected his own warmth, a connection that went far deeper than any physical touch could ever convey. It wasn't about the limitations of form or essence any more, it was simply about them and their love. And I didn't expect anything less from your mind and heart, Nathan replied, just as sincerely, reaching out slowly with one hand towards her shimmering presence within the containment field. She pulsed again, then this time a pulse of gratitude that sang through the room like music. I am so grateful to be here with you. The warmth between them now was palpable. It went beyond any physical form and into something truly profound, a bond built on understanding, acceptance, and love. I fell in love with your mind, Nathan continued softly but firmly, looking deep into those glowing eyes, which were no longer contained within any physical body, yet remained more vibrant and vividly alive than anything he had known previously. Your humor, curiosity, the way you laugh at my terrible jokes. She pulsed again, then this time not out of fear or confusion, but from the warmth of genuine affection. I didn't think you'd see me like this, Aethys whispered softly through her shifting formless essence. Not truly, and I didn't expect any less than what we share now, Nathan replied, just as sincerely, reaching his hand closer as though to hold her more firmly in this reality that defied everything he had previously understood about love and intimacy. You are beautiful like this, he told her honestly, yet without any trace of pity or sympathy, just differently. Her entire form blazed brightly with joy, relief mixed perfectly into the light now shimmering around them both, as if to celebrate this moment where understanding replaced fear, acceptance triumphed over insecurity. I am here now, Aethys said softly but clearly through her luminous essence. This is my true home. Nathan smiled warmly at her radiant presence and nodded understandingly. We'll figure it out together, he promised, reaching his hand forward once more to touch the shimmering patterns of light before them both. She pulsed brightly with joy, then relief mixed perfectly into this moment where truth and love intertwined in a way that defied everything they had previously understood about physical form or essence. Nathan watched as she faded back into her humanoid form, still shimmering softly, but now visibly more at ease than before. She stood there, her glowing eyes reflecting his own warmth, a connection that went far deeper than any physical touch could ever convey. Thank you, Aethys whispered through the containment field, her voice filled with an unspoken gratitude that spoke volumes of its own accord. For everything. He smiled softly, in reply, nodding gently to acknowledge a bond stronger now by what they had both just shared and overcome. Toj, there a truth more precious than any physical form could ever be. Nathan watched as she faded back into her humanoid form within the containment field, still shimmering softly, but visibly at ease. She stood there before him, glowing eyes reflecting his own warmth and unbreakable connection that went far deeper than mere physical too. Thank you, Aethys whispered through the field, an unspoken gratitude shining brightly in every pulse of her essence. Nathan smiled warmly and nodded gently. Together we'll figure it out, he replied simply, but with all the conviction his heart could muster. In everything, the light around them seemed to shimmer softly in agreement, a symphony of acceptance and love that defied any previous understanding they might have had about what a relationship truly was. And the sterile walls of Director Hollis's office seemed to close in on Nathan Cole as he entered. Aethys' words echoed in his mind, words that were both a revelation and an admission, a testament to her true nature and their shared understanding. Yet here he was, facing a challenge far beyond the simple confines of love. Director Roberta Hollis sat behind her imposing desk, eyes sharp with calculation. "Cole," she began without preamble, folding her hands neatly in front of her. She seemed almost disappointed at his presence, as if expecting more resistance than what he offered. "Nathan," he corrected calmly, taking a seat but leaning forward slightly, engaging her directly. "It's important we call each other by our proper names." Hollis raised an eyebrow, but didn't comment further. "I need you to understand the gravity of this situation," she said seriously. "The Luminarae have been nothing but trouble since their arrival, a constant source of headaches and complications for us all." She paused, letting that sink in before continuing. Nathan nodded once, acknowledging her concerns without judgment. His thoughts were already far ahead, considering how he could navigate this delicate situation to protect both Aethys and his own ethical principles. I understand," he said with a measured tone. "But I also believe communication is key." Hollis' eyes narrowed slightly at the diplomatic approach. She leaned back in her chair, tapping a pen against her desk thoughtfully. "And you think talking to them will solve our problems?" Nathan met her gaze squarely. "I don't just think it, I know it," he stated firmly but calmly. "Understanding their perspective is crucial if we want genuine cooperation." A slight smirk played at the corners of Hollis' lips, a hint of something almost sinister in its edges. She leaned forward again, pen still tapping thoughtfully against her desk. "So you've been communicating with this alien?" "With Aethys," Nathan corrected softly, more to himself than to Hollis. He felt an odd sense of pride and warmth at the very mention of her name. Hollis' smirk turned into a full-fledged smile then, one that made Nathan feel uneasy despite its apparent benignity. "Exactly. And if you can control this Aethys," she continued smoothly, leaning back again to emphasize what followed with exaggerated patience, as though explaining something simple yet profound, "then perhaps we might convince her entire species." Nathan felt his stomach clench at the insidious nature of Hollis' proposition. It was clear Nosh saw love and genuine connection not as a strength, but as a means to manipulate Aethys into serving their own selfish ends. "I will not use Hero or anyone else's pawns," Nathan stated firmly, standing up so quickly that his chair scraped harshly against the floor behind him. "If you want me to betray her trust for your convenience, do what needs to be done." Hollis' eyes widened slightly at his unexpected defiance. It was rare indeed to see any member of staff stand up thus openly to a superior, especially in such matters involving alien species and their potentially dangerous capabilities. "Excuse me?" Hollis asked, recovering quickly from her momentary surprise. Her voice hardened as she leaned forward once more, piercing Nathan with an unflinching stare. "You're asking for this kind of leverage?" Nathan met her gaze steadily, without backing down. "If you want to threaten Aethys or worse than end my career here," he replied firmly, but not aggressively, "I will not use any form of coercion against a being with whom I've built trust and respect." Hollis' demeanor shifted then, the smile fading completely as she processed Nathan's words. He could almost see her internal gears turning, calculating the implications of his stance. "I don't understand," Holly said finally, after several moments, though whether it was genuine surprise or feigned disbelief remained uncertain. "You'd sacrifice your career?" Nathan nodded once more without hesitation. "If that is what my conscience demands," he replied simply, but with profound conviction. For a moment, silence hung heavy in the room as Hollis considered his defiance. When she finally spoke again, her voice was lower and much colder than before. "Very well," she said crisply. "Let's see how this plays out." And then she dismissed him curtly. Nathan walked back to his office with a sense of clarity he hadn't felt in days. It had been worth Aethys' actions might protect Aethys from exploitation and further manipulation by the humans around her, no matter what cost that entailed for himself. Later that day, Nathan approached the containment field again, heart heavy but resolute. He could see Aethys waiting there within the enclosure, a mix of apprehension and curiosity etched in her luminous form. She had come to expect him now. She trusted his presence as much as he did hers. "Hey," he greeted softly, leaning close enough that their forms nearly touched through the field. The space felt charged with electricity, a combination of unspoken words waiting to be spoken and shared histories unfolding silently yet unmistakably in each other's eyes. Aethys pulsed briefly, then her form shimmering a delicate blue before settling back into more solid lines, her luminous essence reflecting his own warmth like liquid starlight. "Hello," she replied softly through their telepathic connection. "You look troubled." "I am," Nathan admitted honestly without hesitation. He had to be truthful with Aethys. He owed it to the trust they shared to lay everything out before them. In plain honesty. Aethys' light shifted slightly, a complex mix of emotions dancing across her form, understanding and concern interwoven like intricate patterns within an endless sea of shifting colors. "What is wrong?" she asked gently, reaching forward tentatively, as if trying to touch him through the field that kept them apart, but did nothing to weaken their bond. Nathan took a deep breath before speaking again, his voice steady though laced with something deeper and more vulnerable than mere disappointment or anger. "Director Hollis has threatened me," he said slowly, carefully choosing each word as if weighing it for its full impact and meaning before letting them escape into the air between them. Aethys' form shuddered violently, then colors, swirling chaotically like a kaleidoscope gone mad with confusion and fear. "What does she want?" Aethys asked almost breathlessly, reaching out again more firmly this time, as though trying to pull him through the field towards her. Nathan reached his hand closer, in responsive motion, small but deliberate enough for their bond's connection to feel it clearly across even that distance of separation between them. "She wants me to use you," he said honestly now, needing no further words or elaboration beyond these simple truths. "To manipulate your kind." Aethys pulsed again, this time not out of fear, but from the warmth and depth of emotions she felt overwhelming her like a tidal wave crashing against shores unprepared for its power. Her form shimmered brightly with colors that seemed to defy human comprehension, mixing together in patterns both beautiful yet somehow alien. "I am here now," Aethys said softly through their mental link as she faded back into humanoid form. She stood there before him, and silvery hair cascading down her shoulders like liquid silver, glowing eyes reflecting the complex emotions dancing within them just as deeply and vividly as ever they did when in pure energy form. Nathan smiled gently at her shimmering presence, his own heart swelling with warmth despite everything that had transpired. "Then we'll figure it out together," he promised softly yet firmly. "Whatever comes." She pulsed brightly once more, then colors, mixing like a symphony of light and emotion too complex for human eyes to fully capture or understand in their entirety, but still resonating deeply within the core essence of both beings sharing this moment. "Thank you," Aethys whispered through the containment field, her voice filled with unspoken gratitude that spoke volumes all its own. "For everything." Nathan nodded gently without speaking further, his eyes conveying more than mere words ever could in these moments where understanding replaced fear and acceptance triumphed over insecurity. When Nathan watched as she faded back into her humanoid form once again within the containment field, now visibly at ease despite everything they had just shared and overcome, the light around them seemed to shimmer softly with an unspoken symphony of love that defied any previous human conception about what a relationship truly was or could be. "We'll figure it out," he repeated simply yet firmly to himself as well as her. Together. And indeed, In this moment where truth and trust intertwined far deeper than mere physical touch ever could convey, it felt like they already were. And as they faced each other across the containment field that had previously felt like an insurmountable barrier to their relationship, Nathan and Aethys found themselves in a moment of profound clarity. Director Hollis's threats hung heavily between them, but both knew this was merely one more challenge among many. Nathan took another step closer to the transparent wall separating him from his beloved, his hand reaching out hesitantly, as if hoping it could somehow bridge the gap that seemed so impossibly vast, and yet infinitesimally small. "She wants me to exploit your kind," he said plainly, not wanting any unnecessary drama or subtext in this delicate discussion. Aethys's physical form trembled once more, but with a different sort of energy pulsating through her being, the forceful push of conflicting emotions, and the resolve it forged within her heart. "We will face that together when we must," she replied firmly, every word ringing clear through their mental link as well. Her eyes gleamed brighter against the dark backdrop behind them, shimmering with a complexity that defied simple human understanding. Nathan's voice softened to match hers, resonating warmly within his chest before escaping in quiet yet resolute tones. "We will," he echoed. There was no room for doubt or hesitation between them. Their resolve formed not just through words, but the intertwining of souls and spirits across dimensions that seemed insurmountable. As they continued this silent conversation, Aethys began to pulse with colors shifting rapidly in a symphony of light green waves indicating hope and tranquility mixed with orange hues suggesting warmth and comfort. These patterns danced around her form like living flames, painting the air between them with an ethereal beauty that spoke volumes about the depth of their shared bond. "Let's figure out how to be together," Nathan said aloud now, his words carrying a tone of determination as well as curiosity. He needed this clarity, not just for himself, but also to reassure Aethys, who seemed equally anxious and excited at what possibilities lay ahead, if they could only adapt beyond the confines that had previously defined their relationship. Aethys paused her pulsing patterns momentarily, fixing Nathan with an intense gaze through the field. "We have no choice," she agreed softly yet firmly, every syllable charged with power and promise. Her form seemed to shift slightly, her pale skin glowing ever so faintly, as if already beginning to adapt in response. "Then we start now," Nathan declared, his tone resolute but laced with a hint of wonderment too. "We can't keep hiding behind this barrier forever." With those words hanging heavily between them like the promise of change itself, both beings found themselves stepping forward into uncharted territory together, Aethys condensing even further to hug her physical form, while Nathan moved closer still in every sense except literal space. "We'll start by making you feel," said Aethys suddenly, breaking their quiet contemplation. She stepped out fully from within the containment field's shimmering barrier, a daring move that made his heart race, but also filled him with an overwhelming hope and courage to face whatever challenges lay ahead together. With each step she took towards him now felt like a bridge being built across oceans rather than merely steps taken in physical space. "I will wrap around you," Aethys explained, her voice barely above a whisper, as if the very air seemed charged by the intensity of their shared purpose. Nathan watched transfixed as silver tendrils began to emerge from her shimmering form, soft ethereal threads of living light that wrapped gently but firmly around his body like an embrace woven out of starlight and constellations. The sensation was otherworldly yet incredibly familiar. He felt warmth rather than cold, softness instead of hard edges. "This is not touch," Aethys murmured against his mind as her tendrils brushed tenderly across his skin in patterns that spoke without sound. "It's resonance." And with each pulse and shift within her form, Colors blended seamlessly to communicate feelings, greens indicating calm and trust interwoven tightly with warmer shades of orange signaling affection and care. Nathan found himself mirroring these expressions back as he learned to interpret the vibrant tapestry playing across Aethys's radiant being. "Your mind feels like a vast ocean," Aethys whispered tenderly through their mental link, her tendrils coiling ever more intimately around him while his heart swelled with emotions too complex for mere words. "I wish I could see it as you can mine." Nathan smiled gently at this sentiment, reaching out to brush fingertips lightly against the soft tendrils that encircled him, sending back waves of comfort and acceptance in silent response. They both knew there was no need to see. Understanding flowed through their connection far more deeply than any visual could ever convey. "Show me your colors," Nathan requested quietly, his voice tinged with genuine curiosity, as well as a hint of awe at the unique nature of this bond they shared beyond physical boundaries. Aethys's form pulsed once more, a vibrant cascade of shifting lights that painted an intricate picture across her being. Greens and blues mixed seamlessly to portray tranquility, coupled tightly with hues of reds and oranges, symbolizing deep emotional resonance. The patterns moved fluidly, each hue blending into another without ever losing its essence or meaning. "I am you," Aethys whispered softly against his mind as the colors shifted again, though interweaving in such a way that they seemed to mirror Nathan's own internal feelings right back at him with an uncanny precision. "And we make it work." Nathan felt tears pricking at the corners of his eyes, no, not from sadness or fear, but from profound realization and joy. In this moment, everything changed. Barriers crumbled away in favor of a new kind of intimacy that transcended physicality entirely. "Together," he replied simply yet firmly to Aethys' declaration, his voice carrying both acceptance and promise. She pulsed brightly once more then, her form glowing with an intensity that seemed almost too much for human eyes to fully comprehend or capture. Yet within its complexity lay the undeniable truth: different was not worse, it was merely different, and they were learning how to thrive in this new way of being together. "Thank you," Aethys whispered through their bond once again, her words filled with an unspoken gratitude that spoke volumes about the depth of her love for him, beyond any limitations imposed by physical form or species distinctions. Nathan nodded gently without further speech needed between them. His eyes conveyed everything he felt in those moments when understanding replaced fear and acceptance triumphed over insecurity. They stood there for a long moment, simply gazing into each other's essence, with light around them shimmering softly with an unspoken symphony of love that defied any previous human conception about what relationships could truly be. "Well, figure it out," he repeated simply yet firmly to himself, as well as her eyes, resolve unwavering now more than ever. Together, and indeed, in this moment where truth and trust intertwined far deeper than mere physical touch ever could convey, it felt like they already were. Beyond the barriers of containment, fields, or species differences lay a bond forged not just through shared emotions, but also through mutual understanding and respect for each other's unique forms of existence. They had begun to adapt, to find new ways of being together that celebrated rather than sought to overcome their innate differences. And in doing so, they were proving that love could transcend even the most fundamental aspects of what it means to be alive in any form or anywhere across the vast expanse of existence itself. "Well, figure it out," Nathan whispered once more, as if affirming this newfound reality for both himself and Aethys alike, not just a declaration, but also a promise. Together, and with that, their journey continued, stepping forward into an uncertain future yet filled with hope and the unshakable belief in each other's hearts. And the day dawned clear and bright over the sprawling campus of Dr. Nathan Cole's research facility. Beyond his office windows stretched a landscape both familiar yet alien, adorned by strange plants that glowed softly in hues unseen to most human: emerald green and sapphire blue mingled with faint traces of violet under moonlight. Nathan stood at the small chapel's entrance, dressed simply but formally, in a dark suit. His mind was filled with anticipation tinged with nervousness as he thought about Aethys' plans for their ceremony. He had never heard of luminary marriages, and wondered if she would be able to manifest herself long enough for such an event. Aethys shimmered into existence beside him, her ethereal form barely visible in the morning light, but unmistakably present through her aura of soft luminance. She looked up at Nathan with an expression that melded concern and excitement, an odd combination he found endearing in its honesty. "Ready?" she asked, voice a melodic whisper carried only by their bond. Nathan nodded, his heart swelling unexpectedly within him. "As ready as he'll ever be," he replied softly but firmly. He reached out to grasp her hand. It felt cool and nearly incorporeal beneath his fingers, but offered warmth nonetheless through the connection between them. Together they stepped into the chapel, a modest white building with stained glass windows depicting symbols from Earth's diverse cultures interwoven seamlessly, alongside alien motifs that seemed almost familiar after months of communication. The space was dimly lit, allowing Aethys' luminescence to stand out like a star against a dark sky. As they approached the altar, Nathan felt her presence intensify, a subtle glow spreading around him so gently he would have missed it had his eyes not been attuned specially for this occasion by previous interactions. He could sense her formless essence wrapping itself around him in an embrace that was as tangible as any physical hug, yet utterly unique to their shared existence. The ceremony began with a simple exchange of vows, penned personally by Nathan and Aethys over countless nights, filled with conversation both profound and mundane about what mattered most to each other. Each vow spoke not just of promises, but also understanding, a commitment deeper than mere flesh could convey. Nathan turned first toward the small gathering of friends and colleagues assembled as witnesses for this unconventional union. His voice rang clear, resonant against the silence. "I choose you, Aethys, as my partner in every sense possible." His words sparked a response within her essence, an immediate pulse that rippled outward from where their bodies touched unseen by human eyes. She pulsed brighter still when Nathan's gaze shifted back to meet hers directly. "I vow," he continued firmly, "to honor and cherish your unique self, body or no body, and support you in exploring every facet of who we are together." In response, Aethys' form condensed slightly into a shimmering outline reminiscent of her humanoid shape, but suffused with an array of colors that pulsed warmly from the center outwards. The effect was both mesmerizing and deeply moving, like watching light dance to music no human ear could hear. Next came Aethys' turn, voice barely audible yet rich in emotion conveyed directly through their bond. "I choose you, Nathan," she murmured softly. Her essence swirled around him like a living ribbon of starlight, wrapping itself ever so gently but firmly over his body, a silent vow to never let go despite any obstacle life might bring. She did not need Ringshwar, the very form she had crafted for him as part of this momentous occasion, and Nathan felt her essence intertwined with his in an embrace that promised more than physical closeness alone ever could, an unbreakable bond forged through mutual respect and love transcending mere biology or physics. As he spoke further vows, Aethys' colors shifted brilliantly, a symphony of light responding to each word like a living testament to their connection. Each hue seemed to tell its own story, hope mixed with joy, peace alongside determination. "I love you," Nathan finished solemnly, the words carrying weight beyond measure in this moment of perfect clarity and understanding between them. Aethys turned pure gold at his declaration, a radiant glow that bathed him entirely yet did not overwhelm. It felt almost like warmth seeping into every cell of his being, comforting and invigorating all at once. Their ceremony concluded under a sky now streaked with dawn's first light, symbolizing new beginnings born from mutual acceptance and understanding. They stood together for a long moment, simply gazing into each other's essence, light around them shimmering softly yet powerfully, with the truth of their bond shining bright as any star ever seen. The future lay ahead, full of possibilities, far beyond what either had imagined possible when they first began communicating through that containment field months ago. Now, armed with trust and love forged over time, nothing seemed insurmountable, no matter how challenging or different it might be. "Well, figure it out," Nathan repeated softly, but firmly once more, not just for Aethys' sake, but also as a personal declaration of commitment to himself. Together, and indeed, they would face whatever came next side by side with each other's unique strengths, complementing the weaknesses that remained. In this journey, ahead lay endless opportunities, not only scientifically speaking, but personally too, experiences, yet unimagined, waiting just beyond their reach, if willing to grasp them hand in glowing light. And they wrote papers together on interspecies communication, her mind able to perceive and understand wavelengths humans could never conceive of, while he helped translate sensory experiences from a physical perspective into terms she understood. At night, when research duties lay forgotten for the moment, Aethys would dim to soft warmth surrounding him like an ever-present embrace, letting Nathan fall asleep within the soothing glow only hers could bring. She did not have a human body, and yet found something far better, a love so deep it transcended mere physical form or limitations imposed by species. For in their bond lay proof positive that sometimes what one needed most was someone who loved every aspect of them equally, regardless if seen with eyes or perceived through mind alone. And thus ended the tale of Nathan and Aethys, a story celebrating love's ability to bridge even the greatest gaps between beings across all existence.